A patrol by day moves by a series of bounds, which means movement from one convenient halting place to another. This diagram represents the series of bounds for a patrol. Here is the patrol ready to start. The scouts are given their first bound and they go forward. If they report the bound clear of enemy, the body of the patrol joins them. The getaway man keeps one bound in rear to protect the rear of the patrol and to get away with information if necessary. The patrol commander directs the scouts onto the next bound. If signaled clear, the body of the patrol again moves up. And the getaway man takes their place. The scouts are then directed forward again, and so on. These principles apply no matter what the size of the patrol. This day patrol is 7 strong. Second Lieutenant Hunt, patrol commander. Corporal Little, second in command with the Thompson gun. Wright, first scout, who will lead the patrol. Bramhill, second scout, who will liaise between the first scout and the patrol. Clarkson on the left flank, providing protection on the left. Fisher on the right flank, to provide protection on the right. And Rowell, getaway man, who always remains one bound in rear and will get away with information should the patrol be attacked. Headquarters orderly is off to platoon headquarters with warning orders for the patrol commander from OC Company. OC Company wishes to meet him at a prearranged viewpoint.
From Major Mitchell to you, sir. He wants you immediately at the top of the sunken lane. I am to show you the way to where he is. You will be taking out a reconnoitring patrol in about 2 hours, sir.
Ward number 3's excellent. See they get that to us by 12:30.
Yes, sir.
Corporal Little!
The platoon sergeant passes on the warning order to Corporal Little to prepare the patrol in patrol order, while the patrol commander, with his orderly, goes to meet OC Company at the viewpoint. OC Company has already had a good look at the ground and now gives the patrol commander his orders.
The enemy, as you know, had been pushed back by our division yesterday and today, and are reported to have withdrawn to here.
And this is the situation as described by OC Company to the patrol commander. Keep this map well in mind and remember these positions. The viewpoint, where they now are, number 8 platoon, the canal, St. Mard Wood, and number 7 platoon. It is believed that enemy detachments have come up to the line of the Pettyville Road. That is just behind these trees on the skyline. Our outpost line runs through the front edge of these woods. No other patrols are out. The questions OC Company puts to the patrol commander are: 1. Are the enemy on the canal bank, east of the bridge? 2. Are the enemy in St. Mard Wood? The orders given to the patrol commander are: go out through number 8 platoon's position. Suggest you follow the line of these trees towards the canal, where you should obtain the answer to question number 1. Thence, via the hedgerow and the streams, to this position, which overlooks St. Mard Wood, where you should obtain the answer to question number 2. come in through number 7 platoon, who will be warned to provide covering fire should the patrol be followed up by the enemy. Take a Tommy gun and the rest rifles. Any questions?
Were you warned all troops that I'd be out when I'm coming in?
Yes, they've all been warned. I've also told number 8 platoon commander to go with you when you make your reconnaissance, as he knows the ground.
The patrol commander returns to issue orders for patrol.
Okay. Sir! Right now. Okay, we're going out in the front of the patrol at 1400 hours. I want Corporal Little and 5 men of his section. Corporal Little's carry Tommy gun and ammunition. Remainder rifles. 1 man, spare gun, magazine. No equipment otherwise except bandoliers around the waist. See that all papers and badges are removed. You will take over the platoon. I hope to be back by 1600 hours. Corporal Little with the patrol is to meet me at the holly trees, 300 yards up this lane, at 13:30 hours. I'm going off now to get some food and do my reconnaissance. Very good, sir.
Corporal Little! The patrol commander then goes to the prearranged viewpoint to meet number 8 platoon commander, who has gone there on the instructions of the company commander. Being a forward platoon commander, he is familiar with the ground and can help the patrol commander with his reconnaissance. Meanwhile, Corporal Little warns the section to prepare for patrol. All non-essential equipment, such as gas capes, haversacks, water bottles, and pouches, are removed. On patrol, the section works as lightly equipped as possible, but this depends, of course, upon the nature of the ground. All AB-64s, private papers, and photographs are collected. The only article with any writing on it now is the identity disc. Bandoliers are issued. They are lighter than pouch equipment and are the most convenient way of carrying ammunition on patrol work. The platoon sergeant issues the Tommy gun together with spare magazines in pouches. The patrol is now down to the bare minimum. Finally, as a check-up of equipment ordered by the patrol commander, the platoon sergeant inspects the men to ensure that the patrol is ready for action. Inspections such as these are as much for the good of the men themselves as they are for the carrying out of the job in hand. In face of sudden emergency, equipment as ordered may be the deciding factor between efficiency and disaster. Waiting at the viewpoint, the patrol commander directs the patrol to the position from which he has decided to give out orders and from which he will show them the features of the ground over which they are going to work. In approaching a viewpoint, men must keep well down to offer in this open position no target to any possible enemy patrol. It is essential that every member of the patrol understands the task, the route, and the questions the patrol is required to answer.
I want you to call up 2 at a time and look at the country in front of you. Note the following.
And this is what the patrol commander points out to the men on the ground. 1, the birch tree. 2, the canal bank with its high poplar trees in rear. 3, Pettyville Road on the skyline behind these trees. And 4, St. Mard Wood in front of it.
Enemy detachments are reported in the vicinity of St. Mard Wood. Our outpost line runs through those trees on your right, through here, and across those farm buildings you can see on the left. No other patrols are out.
From the viewpoint, the patrol commander gives the patrol the route out. Through number 8 platoon, thence along these trees, through this birch wood, to the canal. If they are halted, he will direct them to an assembly point in rear. Next, by these hedgerows and the stream, towards St. Mard Wood. Withdrawal by these hedgerows and this wood, and in through number 7 platoon.
We are going to find out, 1, are the enemy on the canal to the east of the bridge? 2, are the enemy in St. Mard Wood? Formation. I will lead with you, Corporal Little, with the Tommy gun. Knight and Bramhill, you will be the scout. Clarkson, you watch the left. Fisher the right. Rowell, getaway man. Rowell, you will keep one bounding rear all the time, but close up if we disappear into any thick wood or you'll lose us. When we withdraw, right Bramhill and myself will make the first bound back. And Corporal Little, Johnson and Sitter will cover me and the remainder onto the bow. Any questions?
No, quite clear, sir.
All right. Follow me.
The patrol commander leads the patrol towards number 8 platoon position. Everyone now knows where the enemy is likely to be, the position of our own troops, that no other patrol is out, the questions to be answered, the time to go out and to return, the route, and that all troops concerned have been warned. The scouts have had their first bound pointed out to them by the patrol commander, and now the first scout proceeds towards it, being covered the whole time by the fire of the remainder of the patrol and from number 8 platoon section post from whose position he went out. The second scout follows the first, keeping him well under observation at all times. He acts as a link between the first scout and the body of the patrol, with whom he must always keep in touch. At this juncture, the scouts, with their knowledge of the ground ahead and of the cover available to the top of the rise, can make good progress. The first scout reaches the top of the rise, spots good cover ahead, and makes his way towards it. Meanwhile, the second scout moves up quickly to keep in touch with him, observe his movements, and pass any signals back to the patrol commander. Having received the signal, the second scout passes back to the patrol commander, no enemy in sight. Seeing this, the patrol commander brings forward the body of the patrol from number 8 section post at the start of bound 1. The second scout carries on and joins the first scout, who by now has reached his first bound. Together, they observe carefully the ground ahead. The patrol, meanwhile, continues. Notice the intervals between the men coinciding with the intervals between the trees. This would afford natural cover against observation and natural protection if they were fired on. Getting near to the crest line, the patrol commander in turn has to keep low as he clambers through the gap, avoiding the skyline. He is closely followed by Corporal Little and the covering fire of his Thompson gun. The patrol commander joins the scouts at the completion of bound 1 and is followed by the remainder of the patrol. Meanwhile, the getaway man remains in position, carefully watching their progress. So the patrol has proceeded out through number 8 platoon, along this line of trees, through this gap, along this hedge, and through this position, the end of bound 1. The patrol commander now has a thorough look at the ground ahead and decides on his next bound. He directs the scouts to proceed down the ditch to the left, along the birchwood skirting the field, and to the second bound beyond the trees, which he has pointed out and described to the patrol. The two scouts proceed forward towards the second bound, taking full advantage of all cover available. Again, they are covered by fire from the body of the patrol. The two scouts work their way down the ditch, which affords them such complete cover that they must maintain much closer contact than before. But the same principles apply, the second scout keeping in contact with both the first scout and the patrol. The first scout encounters wire. Each scout carries wire cutters. Remember the inspection of the patrol before going out. No wire cutters might have meant serious delay. Notice that the bottom strands of wire are cut, as the patrol is keeping low to ground. Meanwhile, the second scout is moving up to maintain contact with the first, whose next move will take him through the wire and out of sight. The scouts clear as many obstacles as possible to facilitate the passage of the main body. The second scout remains in contact both with the patrol commander and the first scout, while the first scout proceeds through the birchwood. Here he adapts himself to the different type of cover, moving as nearly as possible from tree to tree. The second scout, losing view of the first, moves forward to keep him in touch. They are both covered by the fire of the main body, and their movements carefully watched by the patrol commander. The leading scout makes good progress through the birch, towards the front edge of the wood, keeping a wary eye open for any enemy patrol which may be about. The second scout still comes on, maintaining his close contact with the front and the rear. Arriving at the front edge of the wood, the first scout, observing maximum caution, crawls up the bank. Keeping as low as possible, he has a very careful look round. Satisfied that the ground is clear ahead, he signals with hand close to ground to the second scout. The second scout passes back this signal to the patrol commander, who, now knowing that no enemy is in sight, moves forward with the body of the patrol, taking the same cover as the scout. Now is the time for the getaway man to come up as far as the completion of bound 1. The body of the patrol quickly moves up, all obstructions having already been cleared for them in advance. Corporal Little, with his Thompson gun, closely follows the patrol commander. There must, however, be no bunching at gaps such as these. The wood having been reported clear, the patrol can now make good progress to join the scouts. Notice the arrowhead formation, which the patrol employs as it works its way through the birchwood. The left and right flank men are well extended, each watching their respective flanks for any possible movements by the enemy. As the patrol moves towards the front edge of the wood and the completion of bound 2, more careful approach is necessary. There's the right flank man moving out to watch the right flank. The patrol commander having joined the second scout, together they move up to the viewpoint at the completion of bound 2. Here, the first scout points out to the patrol commander what he has seen ahead, namely the poplars behind the canal bank. The patrol commander now has a thorough look through his glasses, studies the ground, and decides on his next bound. He also checks his position with the map. Let's all take a look at the map and see how the patrol has moved forward from the end of bound 1, through the birchwood, to the end of bound 2, where they now are. The patrol commander directs the scouts forward on the next bound, which he decides will be the canal bank. Having made this decision, the patrol commander gets back into cover once more, while the first scout, as directed, making full use of the cover of the bank, moves forward on the commencement of bound 3. He will shortly be followed by the second scout, and the patrol will proceed as before. Remember your map, how the country opens up after the birchwood? So the first scout moves forward, adopting even greater caution than before. Keeping glued to Mother Earth, he signals to the second, who comes on also with extreme caution. You'll notice that at this juncture, the first and second scouts make actual contact with each other, and no longer merely keep each other in view. They have a look at the ground ahead, and then signal to the body of the patrol to come on. The patrol comes forward in arrowhead formation, giving all-round protection, with each of the flank men on the alert. Clarkson on the left, and Fisher on the right. Once more, the getaway man moves up behind, still one bound in rear. Nearing the position of the scouts, and with little natural cover available, more stealthy approach is necessary. See how the patrol commander moves forward, by using elbows and toes, one of the best ways of crawling unobserved. He checks with his glasses that the ground ahead is clear, and again directs the first scout on. Making every endeavor to keep himself concealed, head well down, muzzle of the rifle just clear of the mud, the leading scout works in the direction of the road in front of the canal bank. Carefully, he edges himself forward to a position which commands a further view of the road and of the canal beyond it. The enemy may be on this side of the canal, for all he knows. Carefully raising his head so that no sudden movement will give his position away, he scrutinizes the immediate foreground. By now confident that there is no enemy on this side of the canal, he has no other course open but to get across the open roadway, to see if they are on the other side, east of the bridge. To see without being seen in the open is a difficult task, but the scout, by keeping his body low, head well down, and moving stealthily forward by the use of his elbows and the inside of his right foot, succeeds in dragging himself across towards the grass verge on the far side of the roadway. The second scout watches intently from his position in rear, whilst the first scout now carefully moves into position on the bank, mere inches at a time. Showing as little of his face as possible, he slowly lifts his head. Back goes the information. The second scout immediately rejoins the patrol and reports to the patrol commander what he has seen and heard. The getaway man looks rear, right, and left, ready to make a bolt with the information. The patrol commander directs the body of the patrol towards the assembly point in rear, while he awaits the return of the first scout and his report of what has happened. The body of the patrol carefully selects covering fire positions on the way to the assembly point. The first scout gets back quickly, as this is dead ground to the machine gun. He gives the patrol commander his first-hand information.
Men at their fire positions watch carefully for any further enemy move. The patrol commander, first scout, and Tommy gun withdraw to the assembly point, which is here. They are followed by the remainder of the patrol from their fire position. So the patrol have discovered the answer to their first question: are the enemy on the canal bank? The patrol traverse this ground from the second bound to the canal bank, and have now withdrawn to this position, well under cover, in readiness to proceed towards St. Mard Wood. Near the assembly point there is a convenient bank to which the scouts are directed in order to survey the ground ahead. The scouts move very cautiously up the bank, now being aware that enemy posts are in the vicinity. Notice the method adopted by the scouts of hiding their faces by holding foliage in front of them as they look over the bank. They are joined by the patrol commander, who also moves cautiously into position, careful that nothing shall be given away now that the enemy know our patrol is out. He has a good look at the ground ahead with his binoculars, and taking in all landmarks which may be of use. Carefully he checks his position with the map, making sure that the ground in front corresponds with his calculations. Finally, he directs the scouts forward on their fourth bound, pointing out what he has seen and verified by ground and map. Leaving the body of the patrol, the scout moves off down the excellent cover of the ditch, covered by the remainder, who are ready to open fire at the slightest sign of trouble. The first scout makes sure that the coast is clear, and then signals on the second, who also moves off to keep in touch as before with the first scout and the patrol. The first scout, approaching open country, cautiously looks over the top of a bank. Ahead, there is a gap in the hedgerow which he must cross. Having decided how to deal with it, slowly he crawls forward. There are two ways of crossing such a gap. One is to crawl stealthily and be unobserved, and the other is to cross the gap at top speed. Because the patrol is to follow and the enemy might sight the position, the scout has chosen this way, with buttocks and heels to ground, and keeping his head well down to obscure his face, he drags himself across, inches at a time, clear of the gap, and with adequate cover from the hedgerow, he makes better progress, still covered by the fire of the patrol in rear. There is a lesson to be learnt from every movement this scout makes. See how he takes great trouble to avoid the possibility of skylining himself over this bank. His movements are watched intently by the patrol commander from his viewpoint, who, having been signaled forward by the second scout and observing their progress, brings the patrol on towards the gap. Ahead of them, the second scout also crawls across the gap in the same manner, as the patrol has to follow up behind him, and he dare not risk giving anything away. The patrol commander approaches, considers the alternative methods, and then collects his men. He has decided to adopt the method of crossing the gap at top speed, his men in line, at right angles to the enemy, and offering the smallest target in the shortest possible time. At a given signal, off they go across the gap, the width of only one man presented to the enemy. At the far side, they drop down once again to hands and knees, and as quickly as possible mount the bank and drop into the cover of the ditch. As you'll notice, there are two ways of dropping into a ditch. By now, the first scout is nearing the spot which overlooks St. Mard Wood. He peers cautiously over the bank. The enemy is in the wood. Dropping quickly back to cover, he signals to the second scout, "Enemy in sight." The second scout repeats, "Enemy in sight," to the patrol commander. Leaving two men to protect his flank, the patrol commander comes up to see for himself. Notice the method by which good progress is made with the use of elbow and knee against the side of the ditch, leaving hands free. He is closely followed by Corporal Little with the Tommy gun to provide covering fire. The patrol commander, too, cautiously peers over the top of the bank, and with his glasses he scrutinizes the scene. taking in all the detail he can. With time in hand, he decides to lie up and watch for a bit. And this is the position. The patrol have advanced along the hedgerows and streams to this point, which overlooks St. Mard Wood, and have now obtained the answer to their second question. The enemy are in St. Mard Wood and are digging and wiring. Next comes the withdrawal to a given assembly point, which the patrol commander has indicated. The patrol commander has meanwhile collected all the information he can, unobserved by the enemy. Time is getting on, and so he prepares to withdraw. Covered by the corporal with the submachine gun, the patrol commander, followed by his first scout, proceeds towards the assembly point under nearby cover, where he will decide on his first bound home. He picks up his second scout on the way, and together the three of them make for the assembly point. In the withdrawal, he has decided that the scouts will work as in the advance. Who knows where enemy patrols may be? He has directed Corporal Little with a Tommy gun and one rifleman with the spare magazines to take up a covering fire position in rear to cover the patrol back on the next bound. At the assembly point, the patrol commander, with the aid of his glasses, decides on his first bound home and directs his scouts on their way once more. Covered by the fire of the patrol, the scouts move off as directed. As the patrol is still near the enemy, the patrol commander considers it necessary to use the same caution as in the advance. It must be remembered that enemy patrols present the same danger on withdrawal as they do on the way out. The leading scout arrives at the bound and is followed up closely by the second scout. Together they take a look at the ground and then signal the body of the patrol on. The patrol immediately moves up to join them, still keeping low to ground and preserving as much caution as in the advance. The rear covering fire party, seeing that the leading and second scouts are now in a fire position, move to a fresh covering fire position in rear. The body of the patrol use less caution and more speed as they near their own FDL. They are due in at 1600 hours. Meanwhile, the rear party covers the withdrawal off once more. So they continue. The patrol is now in two halves, each half covering by fire the movement of the other. The patrol commander has joined the two scouts and has a last look round. He identifies number 7 platoon section post where they are due to come in and makes sure that all is clear. He then orders his scouts forward on the last bound home. One final look at the map and you'll remember the way we've come. After leaving the enemy in St. Mard Wood, we have taken the route suggested by O.C. Company in withdrawal towards our own line, and are now, as ordered, coming in through number 7 platoon. Carefully scrutinizing the patrol, the section posts signal them in. The possibility of Germans dressed in British uniform should not be lost sight of, and in case the patrol are followed up by the enemy, each man remains on the aim. With the ample cover available, and to facilitate recognition, the patrol is led thus into number 7 platoon section post. The patrol commander immediately reports to O.C. Company.
The enemy is definitely holding. Smell back, east and three. The enemy is definitely in St. Mard Wood. I saw what appeared to be just two of them getting into position. There. Right. We lay up here about half an hour. I saw some vehicles moving about on this road, leading to east of St. Mard Wood.
Adana stands by, ready to pass back vital information. Those who need it, a valuable factor in decisions to be made. To the patrol, just another job of work well done.